Hello. Hello.
Okay, we are.
Hello and welcome to Beaver Now Books. Thanks so much for joining us for tonight's book talk. Before we begin, I want to mention some upcoming events. Tomorrow, April 16th at 7 p.m. at Central Library, avid author Maria Semple will talk about her new book, Go Gentle. Then on April 20th, we have a really fun event. We're going to be at Big Grove Brewery from 6 to 8, and we'll meet Sarah Beacon, who is a graphic artist, and she's going to be talking about her book called Let's Make Cocktails. And she's actually going to illustrate one cocktail and show us the recipe, and they will have a special on that cocktail as well. We are looking forward to Central Iowa Independent Bookstore Day. That's April 24th. It's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and lots of specials and lots of fun. Then finally, I hope you plan to attend the DSM Book Festival on Saturday, May 2nd. It opens at 11 a.m. and it ends with avid author Taylor Wolfe, and that's going to be at Franklin Event Center. You can find all the details on our website, and we even have this wonderful little bookmark for you to take with you so that you don't forget. Now, on to the program. Flow is an exploration of guilt, shame, bullying, and the horror and wonder of the human body, sure to appeal to fans of Carrie and Yellow Jackets. Paula Sevenbergen has written for TV, the Warner Brothers series Stargirl, and comics, DC Comics, as well as essays and stories for the Washington Post, Bust Magazine, Mad Magazine, and other publications. She has also served as an editor for Mad. An Iowa native, she divides her time between her home state, Los Angeles, and New York. And Paula is going to be joined in conversation by Melissa Knutson, co-founder of Give Grace, Give Hope, Inc. That's a nonprofit created to eliminate period poverty and ensure access to menstrual products for individuals in need. Give Grace, Give Hope provides pads and tampons to schools, homeless shelters, and human service organizations all across Iowa. In 2025, the organization distributed more than 350,000 menstrual products, helping ensure that no one has to miss school, work, or everyday life simply because they lack access to basic necessities. So, please give a warm welcome to Paula and Melissa.
All right. Yeah.
How's it going?
All right.
Yeah. All right. So, tell us about what inspired the idea behind Flow.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming, every single person here. I know it's been a super weird weather day. And I think there's still a tornado watch going on, and I'm like, is anybody coming? And I got caught in a super heavy hailstorm while I was driving, and it's one of the kind where you're gripping the wheel and you're not paying attention to what's on the radio, and then I finally got through it, and I was like, oh, thank God I made it through. I don't want to die to Michael McDonald when I realized what I was listening to. But anyway, thank you so much for being here, everybody, especially my friend Lorraine, who drove 3 hours just to sit here, which is amazing. And I want to say thank you to my mom and dad. It's my dad's birthday today, and it's my parents' 57th wedding anniversary.
Wow!
So, thank you for being here. And thank you, Melissa, for doing this.
Yeah.
So, Flo, couple of things. First of all, at the time that I got the idea, there were politicians in the news proposing to ban talking about periods in elementary schools. And I was livid hearing this. I just thought, this is the time they need to be learning about it. And they were lumping it in with sex education and not treating it as just a basic biological function that people do need to learn about at a young age, because this is happening earlier and earlier, it seems. And I I was upset about that, and particularly there was a representative in Florida proposing a ban on that, and then also I was sitting in my living room one day, and we have a ravine in our backyard, and I've never owned a house, I've never owned a ravine, and I have like wildlife floating back there. Sometimes deer are often back there, and one time a deer even was like giving me daggers through the window. So I kind of have trained myself to be like sitting on my couch writing, and then I'll see something out of the corner of my eye. And one time I saw a girl come out of the ravine with blood on her hands, and I thought, what the heck was that? And it just ended up being on the first page of this story. So it's the combo of those two things.
Wow, interesting, very interesting. Well, I'm super passionate also about, shouldn't be shaming young girls for something that's very natural, and should just
Exactly.
right. It's just part of who we are. We can't control it. So
right.
Yeah.
And you had a good analogy. I don't know if you want to share it already, but you had mentioned how to explain this to people who don't menstruate.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you ready? Okay, buckle up. So, guys, I think it can be hard sometimes to understand what it's like to have a period, right? And what the experience might be like to have your period but not have enough money to be able to afford the products, right? So, at an event where there were some men in the audience, I decided to liken it to period or a pooping week, right? So instead of getting your period for a week, you poop for a week. Hopefully people on live like this story as well. But yeah. So guys, you have a pooping week, and guess what? Pooping week shows up every month, whether you want it to or not, whether you have money in the bank, whether you have toilet paper at your house, or because there's no toilet paper in public restrooms during pooping week, just so you know, just like there's no pads or tampons. And surprise, it's going to show up, and what are you going to do? So, so hopefully that you can sort of relate to that. And now on top of that, right, there's pain and there's inconvenience, and it's on your mind 24/7 of how are you going to take care of this. So
Right, and also I'm just thinking how after I wrote this, I learned. Sorry, I keep doing that. My mother told me that my grandmother, this happened to her when she was young, and she got her first period. She had no idea what it was, and she thought she was dying. And she had older sisters, multiple older sisters, and still didn't know what it was. And then fast forward to not many years ago, a young woman dear to me got hers very early and didn't know what it was because they hadn't covered that yet in school. And she saw it, fainted, and then sprained her ankle in the process. So it's, it's traumatic if you don't know what it is. And it can be traumatic if you do know what it is. So, guys, sorry, we're not going to talk about this
just
the
for
entire
sure.
day. Yeah.
We really are here about the book.
Right.
But yes, we should all talk about it, right? Make it normal, normalize it.
Exactly. Although I will say that this is about the time at home where my dad would leave the room if my mom and my sister started talking about it.
Yeah.
So he's stuck in the middle of the crowd and he can't leave.
You're trapped.
So all I have to say is happy birthday, Dad.
Yeah. Happy birthday. And newsflash, guys, you won't grow ovaries like if you touch a tampon or if you like some guy's like, oh gosh, I can't look at it. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
So tell us the gist of the plot.
Okay, so the gist is a girl at camp gets her first period, doesn't know what it is. She's had a very sheltered life. And some bullies at camp take the opportunity to tell her it's called the curse and we can lift it if you do everything we say. And so they go on to torment her for a week, making her do all of these humiliating things, only to end up cursed themselves 10 years later. So it's a dual timeline story.
Yeah. So writing a dual timeline story, tell me about that. How do you go about that?
Well, it was challenging because you're trying to keep interesting things going on in both timelines and not, go too far down one road before you go back on the other road. But at the same time, it's great because I was always entertained. I could keep it fresh for myself.
Yeah. So the cultural, political undercurrent, so to speak, throughout the book. Was that intentional? Were you very intentional in adding that to the storyline?
Yeah, I mean, I think because it inspired the story, it was always there.
Yeah.
You know, and I do believe the personal is political. So I think a lot of the things we do in our lives, a lot of things fictional characters do in their lives have political undercurrents.
Yeah. Is there a message that you want your readers to get beyond the enjoyment of the book? Because it is.
Oh, I thought you were saying beyond the enjoyment of a period.
no.
Okay. I didn't really write with a message to the reader because I feel like if I set out to do that, it would probably be very preachy and boring.
Sure. Yeah.
But I do hope that there is a message there, which is that we shouldn't be ashamed to talk about things. We shouldn't keep information from people who have a right to it.
Yeah. And don't bully.
And don't bully, of
Yes.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
So you collaborated with an artist, Claudia Balboni, her name. So how was that experience as you collaborated with her?
It was so interesting, and it was great because this is my first book. I've written some short comics for DC Comics and others, and it's always interesting to write that script and then send it off to the artist and then get it back. And it's exhilarating. It's sometimes baffling. It's you have things in your mind as a writer. You see the scene in your head. And so to see it the way someone else sees it and the way you described it and how it came to life in their head, it's always a little bit different. But of course, sometimes it's so much better than how I envisioned it. And Claudia was great because she could do fear, wide-eyed innocence, but she could also do menacing scenes equally well. So it was great, and it was a learning experience too.
Yeah. So did you evolve the story, or how you thought about the storyline?
That's a good question. I don't know if I did.
After looking at her art.
Yeah, I don't know if I did, but maybe I did subconsciously, just to see how she made the characters come to life, and maybe, after those first couple issues, because of course it was a comic series before collected in this paperback. Maybe it, seeped in there somehow and shaped how I told the story.
Yeah. Interesting. So you have, there's a horror plot line through this, right?
Yeah.
So how has your experience in watching horror shows or horror movies, whatever the case may be, how did that influence your writing?
Oh, okay, this is good. Well, obviously one of the main inspirations is Carrie, Stephen King's Carrie. And this is kind of outing my mom a little bit, but the day I saw Carrie, I was in first grade. And earlier that day,
You snuck in, right? Like
it was new on HBO, and and earlier that day I got my ears pierced, and that was such a big deal to me as a first grader, and I kind of saw that as like a female rite of passage. I didn't know anyone else who had pierced ears except for women and girls, so that was just such a big deal. It was so visceral, sitting in that kiosk in the middle of the mall while they just put the gun through your ear, and you have the little pad of alcohol with the drops of blood on it, and so it was like, I remember every time I smell rubbing alcohol, I'm back in that kiosk. It was just such a big deal to me, but I was like, but I did it, and now I'm a girl with pretty earrings. And then that same day, that night, my wild aunt was over, and she was like, "Oh, Carrie's on. This is supposed to be great." And of course, my mother didn't really know what it was. And here it starts, and here comes this shower scene with the period and and it was, I just was sitting there mesmerized by this, and I was like, oh, this is a whole other female rite of passage. And so it's just strange how they go together, but it made a huge impression on me. And so that was an inspiration for this. The dual timeline was shaped by watching Yellow Jackets, that first season, that of course was out not long ago, and being really entertained by that. But also Judy Blume, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Yeah.
Such a great book to me as a child. I won, I think it was third place in an Iowa poetry contest when I was in third grade. And I took that money and I bought my Judy Blume box set, with the 5 paperback books. And I was thrilled. I loved her. I still love her. So yeah, that probably shaped it too.
Yeah. Did you ever get a double piercing? Just the one and done?
I've got triple, baby.
Okay. Yeah. So you relived the experience a few times. Okay.
I did.
Good. So you've done writing for TV. Tell us about that and how did that influence?
Ooh, yeah. I only got to be on one show so far, but it was for 3 seasons, so it was a big experience. It was called Stargirl, and that I was a newbie on that, and I learned how to collaborate with others, play nicely with others. Even though with a comic, you're collaborating with an artist, a colorist, an inker, a letterer. There's an editor. So big team involved in making something like this. And of course, with a show, you're collaborating with other writers, producers. You're getting notes from the network. So big collaboration as well. So I think collaborating was a big skill to learn and apply to this. But also they're both visual mediums. So you think visually, you think how it's going to look on the screen or on the page. You also want to keep the dialogue, snappy or at least interesting or meaningful, and being very choosy with what you're putting on the page.
Yeah. If you could do any sort of medium in the future, what would it be?
Oh wow, I don't think I can choose.
Okay.
I love it all. I really do.
So
Whoever
keep it
will
coming.
have me.
Okay.
Honestly, whoever will let me write another story, I will take it. I will be grateful.
Yeah. That's a really great experience. Right now, many people get to write for TV. So
yeah, it's kind of like winning the lottery, and I still can't believe I got to do it. And it really, a lot of it was luck. I think it's just writing, keeping at it, having something you're kind of proud of, showing it to the right person, and just happening to get in that slot, when it comes up. It is kind of like the lottery.
Yeah. And a crazy aunt that lets you watch Carrie.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. How has working as a writer and editor for Mad Magazine influenced your creative writing?
Well, obviously you want to try to keep the humor in, even if it's something creepy, right? Even if, no matter how horrifying or creepy it is, any story needs humor. And so hopefully, Matt has helped me hone that a bit. And also, there's a similarity between writing horror and writing humor in that there's kind of a punchline. There's or a twist. Yeah. I mean, I think getting scared and getting surprised, made to laugh, there's a similarity of the unexpected, right? Like you're setting something up and then you're hoping there's a payoff. In horror, a lot of times there's there's anticipation, and then something happens, but it's not what you think it is, and then you kind of let your guard down, and then you're surprised. You're scared, and I feel like setting up a joke or a witty line is there's similarities in setup,
drawing people in.
Yeah. Drawing, kind of seducing them, or leading them astray, and then giving it to them. Yeah.
How did you start that to be able to write with them, with Mad Magazine?
Oh wow. Well, I was a fan since I was a child, like so many people, and another right place, right time thing. I lived in New York, and I used to see the editor-in-chief on the subway, and I was too afraid to go up and say anything to him. I wanted to say, I love Mad, I love everything you do, but I never did. And then fast forward to I was working at DC Comics, so was Brian, and then they announced that Mad, owned by DC, was moving from New York out to LA, which is where I was living at that time. And I ran to the VP in charge of hiring, and I said, you have to hire me for this magazine. And I gave him all of this proof of how I was a fan and what I could do, and I got in.
Yeah.
And then when I went on the show, obviously I had to leave, but then between seasons they would bring me back into freelance. And then now that I'm an out of work TV writer, at least for now, they have me doing more, and it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anything else that you're working on right now?
I'm writing other stories. At the moment, not for anyone else, but I have a pitch out there for another comic series. I'm crossing my fingers about that. And I'm doing all the genres still. And I've been told that's kind of a mistake because you don't get you're not getting as far as you could in your career if you were on one track.
Gotcha.
But I just can't help myself. I just kind of dabble.
Your passions are everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dabbling is okay. I'm a dabbler.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you.
I'm a dabbler. So think about young girls in the audience or that are listening, like if they had a passion for writing or doing something like this, what advice would you give them?
Well, just do it and be bad at it. Just go for it. Just let it all out. And then no one has to see it. Or if you want to share it and just know that some parts are bad, but there are probably some little gems in there, do it. You don't have to show anyone. You can throw it away. You can go back to it later and pull out the thread that you think is worth saving, but just do it. I spent so many years not doing it because I was afraid. I mean, like I said, I was writing when I was a little kid and won that little contest, and then I majored in English in college. I went to grad school to study other people's writing, and I was a copy editor correcting other people's writing, and I just kept pushing it off, I think I could do this, but I might be bad, and I don't want to find out how bad I am, and so I didn't do it. So really just do it and just let yourself be bad and get through it to get to what you have to offer.
Because why not you, right?
Exactly.
I have a coffee mug that I actually was moving around today, and it says not failure. Fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. And I just love that idea of just go out there and do it, right? Yeah. And failure's a learning lesson, and even if it's not really, you're learning along the way.
For sure.
Just do it. Take one step.
Yeah.
So.
And the other thing I would say too is, if you're writing fiction or maybe even nonfiction, feeling over fact, feeling over logic, because I can get in my own head sometimes and think about, does this make sense? Or is this too big of a leap? Or how am I going to fit these pieces together to make this cohesive? And I am missing the point, which the point is you want to feel something, you want to make the reader or the viewer feel something. You need to focus on those feelings first and then make the pieces fit logically later. You've got to hit that emotion. And my boss on the show was great about that, and he had even a little graph. And it's like, where is the emotional high point in this episode? Okay, let's put a mark right there, and then everything should lead up to that, and what happens after it should be an effect of that. So that was a great lesson.
Yeah. So take one step and put your heart in it.
Yeah.
Put your feelings in it.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd want to share to the audience here or online?
Oh boy.
About you or the book or?
I would just say read graphic novels if you never have before. Read comics. We have Mayhem Comics here that has tons of titles. We have comic artist Ron Wagner in the audience. We have comic book editor Brian Cunningham in the audience. But I know there are people who aren't experienced comic readers, and I would just say give comics a chance if you haven't.
Okay. Yeah, so that's our to do for everyone. Give it a go.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Any questions from the audience?
So, a lot of authors talk about they write by the seat of their pants, or
Yeah.
they plot. When you're doing a comic book, I'm assuming you have to kind of know where you're going, right?
Yeah.
So how does that process work?
Yeah, the whole plotter versus pantser thing. I don't like being a plotter, but I have to admit it's helpful. I would rather just, sit and write pretty sentences and then just see what happens and where it takes me, and it would take a lot longer to get to any kind of plot, but I kind of like that. But yes, you're right. When you're writing a comic book series and they want to know up front at least a rough idea of what's happening in issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So somebody's paying you, so they're not going to say, we'll just sit back and trust you that this is all going to work out. They want a plan. And it's the same if you're writing for TV or even a feature. You have to have a plan for people who are putting money into it. So I've learned to be a plotter.
Do you get writer's block very often?
I had writer's block for many years, and I guess I do sometimes, but I just kind of push past it and write the bad stuff. Yeah.
So you just put the pen to paper and that's how
yeah, because I have to keep a routine going now. Otherwise, I'm afraid of going back into that black hole of where I did nothing. So you got to stay limber, and as long as you're just working the muscles, even if nothing comes of it that day, I try to do it. Yeah.
Practice the craft.
Yeah. Oh,
What happened to Ravine Girl?
she's in the book. Yeah. So.
And the one you saw out behind your house? Did you go out and see her?
Oh,
Talk
did
to
I
her, or-
confront her?
Yeah.
No, I said, listen, I'll put you in a book, and then if you never come back.
So you know her personally now?
Yeah, I feel like I do know her. Yeah. So if I see her again we're gonna have something to worry about.
Sequel.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, sequel.
I did wear the right color for this event, didn't I?
You sure did. Yes, thank you for that. Yeah.
Red and black is also my go-to for these types of things.
Yes, and Melissa, I know there's another question. I want to get to it, but I wanted you to show your shirt.
Oh, yeah. So it says Flow, just by chance. I was getting ready for tonight. So Give Grace, Give Hope, the nonprofit that I co-founded with my daughter. She's 16.
And I was just going to ask about that.
Yeah, so she's 16, and it was an idea she came up with when she was 7. But we have an annual event each year. It's in March on International Women's Day, and we pack period packs that are distributed across the state of Iowa. And so apparently in 2024, our theme was Flow. So it worked out perfectly to
I
put
love
this
that.
one on tonight. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so your daughter got the idea because she heard about you touring
Yeah.
a shelter.
Yes. Yeah. So there were a lot of little nuggets that were part of conversations that we were having. But it was Christmas time, and we weren't as a family going to ask for physical gifts. And my kids bought into this idea. But my daughter, Brenlin, she's the one who had this idea. She always sort of pushes the grain a little bit. How can we go a little bit around the edges? And she said, well, what if I ask for physical gifts, but they're for homeless women? And I said, absolutely, that's a good exception. So had those conversations, but also in the meantime, I had done a poverty simulation and toured West Des Moines Human Services, which should have had this big bookcase type of, shelves filled with personal care products, and it was almost completely empty, which meant anyone who came to get food that day wasn't going to have access to shampoo, conditioner, soap, pads, tampons, all of those things. So I told my daughter about that, and so it's just sort of all these little nuggets that were planted. And she was on the phone with my mom asking, my mom said, what do you want for Christmas? And she said, I want vagina covers. So, vagina covers was her 7-year-old way of describing a pad. She didn't have a word for it, so she called them vagina covers. So that's how it all started. That was the beginning of it all.
That's so fantastic.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
For my
So,
Barbie.
what's that?
I want these for my Barbie.
Yeah. Yeah. So Operation Vagina Covers is what we called it.
That's
then.
amazing.
And now it is what it is.
So bottom line, Melissa's amazing. Her organization's amazing. I just write goofy stories
Oh, you're amazing.
in a room by myself.
You're amazing.
Larissa, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm curious. So you went from being a writer who wasn't writing, and then you became a writer who was writing, and now you're a writer. And I'm curious about how you build that as a practice, because a lot of people think that the arts are something that you just have a feeling and you go make some art. But that's not how an actual professional writer or artist works. And so I'm curious about how you built up your practice.
Yeah, it took so long to do that, and I think I had read all the books about practice, right? I read a lot of writers' memoirs, and I read a lot of books about how to write, and I just finally realized it's about discipline. And I always thought of artists as people who are like so cool and freewheeling and have these lives full of drama, and that's how they get all of their passion to tell these amazing stories. And some of that's true, I think, but a lot of times you can't have the freedom to create if you don't have stability at the same time. And so I have to have a routine. I have to have my coffee. I have to start at a similar time of the day. I have to be in one of two places, and then sometimes set a goal for myself, set a word count goal. But it took so long to learn that, because I did think you had to be inspired. And I still hear creators say, I'm not going to create unless I feel like it, because otherwise it'll just be wooden and dead feeling. And I don't know. If I waited until I felt like it, I wouldn't probably get much done. So sometimes you don't feel like it until you're actually doing it. Sometimes it feels like exercise that way, right? It's like, I don't really want to do this. I'm kind of lazy today, but once you do it, you feel great that you did it. And so knowing that makes you show up again the next day. And I know because you're a visual artist and you're working all the time. And do you work at your studio too, or your home too, or mainly your studio?
Pretty much a studio, and I keep regular hours on it. But
Yeah.
I'm always interested to find out how other people's practices work,
Mm-hmm.
because it is difficult, especially when you don't have a boss.
Right.
You're your own boss.
Right. Yeah.
I agree with you that most people think the arts are like this free form, full of crazy people. And It's
Mhm.
like, well, they're some of the most disciplined people that I know.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to be to get it done. Yeah, and you say, and now I'm a writer, and I mean, I guess technically if I have a book, I am a writer. But at the moment, no one's paying me to write anything at this second, today, this week. And so I'm forcing myself to get up and get things done and keep thinking of ideas. And to me, I guess I am a real writer because I do that, because no one's expecting it, but I'm still doing it. And so yeah, I guess I do feel like a real writer.
Well, you're an artist, even if no one buys your stuff, right? Or, if you think about that, like someone who makes beautiful art, you're still an artist.
Yes, and thank you for saying that, because I only learned that recently.
Mm-hmm.
I always think artists are highfalutin people, are very special people, right? Like they're geniuses, they're brilliant, and they've made these gorgeous things that many people have agreed are worthwhile, are worth having, and instead of it being about a practice.
Yeah. Because who decides if it's worth having, really, right?
Yeah.
How do you know as you're going through your practice, how do you know when it's you've got something good on your hands?
Yeah.
Is there a feeling, or?
I don't know. I think yeah, there's a feeling, but that feeling can be wrong. So I have, you know, a couple trusted readers. You know, Brian's a trusted reader, and have a couple friends, writer friends who I trust. But I spent a year and a half writing a prose novel recently, and just tried to shop that around to many literary agents, and I was like, but I thought it was good, and my grad school professor thought it was good, and he hates everything, and so I was like, I don't understand, but yeah, you don't know, you just don't know.
We have a question from someone on Facebook, and it says, what's it like being the newbie and a woman in the writers' rooms you've been in? Did you have other or enough newbie or female colleagues in them?
Oh, yes. There were female colleagues. They were all higher, significantly higher in position than I was. I was the only female newbie. There was one other newbie, a male newbie with me, and he was great, and we both would kind of, support each other. But man, did I have imposter syndrome so much. I just, I didn't go to UCLA film school and take screenwriting classes like so many people in LA had done. I felt like I snuck in a side door, and I just did not feel like I should be there. And I felt that way for a long time. And every time I would pitch an idea in the room and it would be met with silence, or they didn't want to use it, I was like, oh, I knew it, I'm terrible. Thankfully I didn't say that out loud every single time, but yeah, it was hard. It was hard, but I learned so much in that room.
Imposter syndrome is real.
It really is.
I see a lot of heads nodding. I mean, I experience it on a daily basis.
Really?
Like sometimes. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people do. We just don't talk about it.
Yeah. And actually, I did tell one of the higher up guys on the show that I just owned it, and he was like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't talk about that. His mind was like, fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Don't be vulnerable.
Don't be vulnerable. Exactly. And I was so vulnerable. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Alrighty. I think Paula's going to be signing some books.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to Beaverdale Books.
Thank you for having us. Really. Thank you for coming.